Good morning, everyone. Happy Friday! Yay, it's Friday! So today we are on episode 10 of our series Personality Plus. And today we are going to talk about kind of the summary of the series, but also some important points to have a bulletproof marriage or relationship. So if you know somebody or if you are struggling yourself of the communication, of just maybe just don't know where your relationship is going right now, this episode is for you, okay? So good morning, Amanda. Yes, Friday. Yes. So if we are meeting for the first time, my name is Brianna Anninger, and I am passionate about empowering and inspiring people just like you to truly wake up and live in life. So, Brianna, Amanda, you were so funny with your little sayings. So, creating your own unique song. So, this chapter was a very important chapter. It's the last chapter of the book, and if you do not have the Personality Plus for couples and you've been following the series, I truly encourage you to go out there and to invest in yourself and invest in your marriage and your relationship and read this book and truly take the principles that we have talked about into your relationship. And I am very confident that applying these principles that your relationship will improve, and even if it's a good relationship, it will be a great relationship, okay? And I can really say that confidently because I promise you that applying these things with Mike and I, that it has changed a lot. And of course, we're still growing and we're still learning, but knowing our different personalities and just applying these, it has helped a lot. Okay, so the first thing we're going to talk about is communication needs. Now, this probably seems like it is probably something that is like, okay, yeah, we all need communication. She keeps talking about it in all these series. It is so important. And especially those that maybe have been married for a long time. And we have some habits, and even we have like some empty nesters where the kids, they grow up and it's just you're left with your spouse, right? So with this, the communication throughout the years, it changes. And this chapter was talking about the retirement years. Now, of course, Mike and I aren't retired yet, but it was something that was kind of eye-opening that we go through our life and we go through a lot of motions, right? And we have children, we have work, we have our friends, and a lot of times we don't set time for them. And I'm reminded of Mike and I when he was active duty, that we were so blessed to go to this retreat. And I remember the chaplain talking in this group of people, these couples, and it was Mike and I were newly married. We were married we weren't the newlyweds in the room. There was people there that was like maybe married for a week, but Mike and I were married for, I believe it was like a month or 2 months, okay? And I remember sitting there, and he was talking about all these people about rekindling their love. And I was looking at Mike, and I'm like, this isn't for us. Like, we're newly married. We have our love. We don't need to be rekindled. And I was just like thinking about it. And this book starts talking about this now too, is that it's so important to communicate our needs, what we need. And so he was talking about that, and in the book it talks about this too, is that we need to communicate what we need. And one of the examples was that going shopping. And I don't know if you guys can relate if you go shopping with your spouse. How is the experience? And so with Mike and I, we're pretty good. But in this chapter, she was talking about how there was a couple that there's a choleric and a phlegmatic. And remember, the choleric are the ones that are the bosses. The phlegmatics are the ones that just don't really care. And it turned out when they retired that he was going to have to go shopping together, because before she used to just take care of it. And so it was really funny because they ended up kind of getting that disagreement because he was in her space, and so they realized that if they split up, that one gets a cart and the other gets a cart, and they get a list, and that person goes with that list and that, and they can add maybe a couple things, and so they helped with that communication. And so then she talked about that it's really important to set time for each other. And that was what kind of reminded me about the retreat, is because he talked about that it's so important to carve time in your week to have a date. And I know people are like, oh, we'll only go on a date once a month. But no, it truly is important to go on a date or do something fun alone with your spouse for at least once a week. And so that is one of the things about the communication needs, is that if it's just like, going to dinner with each other by yourselves. And the other thing is that, like, when you're out to dinner, give your undivided attention to your spouse, okay? Don't be looking at a table over here. Don't be looking at your phone. This needs to be undivided attention, because we have so much going on in our world, so many distractions, that it's super, super important to give your spouse that undivided attention, okay? The next thing we're going to talk about is the downtimes, right? We all have downtimes in our relationship, but how do we get through those downtimes is what truly builds our relationship bulletproof, right? So if you want a bulletproof relationship, give me some hearts and some thumbs up. I know that I want a bulletproof marriage, and Mike is very great at, sorry, my voice, I don't know what's going on, very great at doing this, is that talking about the problem when it's there. For me, my personality is about going and hiding and not sharing my feelings. And this is truly important for all personalities, to truly share how you feel in the moment. Now, of course, maybe there might be some time where you have to kind of step back, take a breather, and not make this into a big argument. But it's super important to share how you feel. And it's super important for the other spouse to be open-minded and not be where they take that information and they use it against the spouse. Because when that happens, the spouse won't open up. And then what happens? We don't have communication. And again, communication is the most important, right? So this is truly important to do this, is that to really listen to your spouse and really be in that moment to talk about those problems, okay? So the other thing that I wanted to talk about is that, and this was super hard for me, and I'll be completely transparent with you guys, is that sometimes there's a time where the two of you cannot resolve your issues. There's a time where you need to ask for help. And for me, being a melancholic, that's probably one of the hardest things that I ever had to do. There was a time in my life that everything was just going wrong. The relationship with Mike and I was going wrong. I felt like my work was going wrong. I feel like family issues were going wrong. There was just a whole bunch of things that was just going wrong. And I truly am one of those, self-reliant, right? I told you guys about this, about being a choleric. And I didn't want help. I was like, no, I can do it. I can do it. I can do it. And there came to a point where the book talks about, like, a depression. I came through a depression moment. And it was like one day I woke up and I was like, I can't do this anymore. I seriously cannot do this anymore. Like, I am, like, dying inside, okay? And so what ended up happening was I had one of my friends, she recommended a counselor to me. Like, probably like 6 or 8 months before that. And I had her number on my phone. And I was like, no, I don't want to, right? We all say that to ourselves. Sometimes we don't want to do the things that we really should do, right? And so, like I said, there was a time I woke up and I was like, I don't even know where Mike was at the time. He probably was at work. It was when he was in the military. And I was like, I can't do this anymore. And I broke down, you guys, and I called the counselor. And then the next week, I booked an appointment, and I saw her for about, I think, 6 months. And then Mike saw her too, and it tremendously helped our relationship. And sometimes we can read books, sometimes we can talk to our friends, but sometimes we truly have to ask for that professional help. Because this is what happens when you go to a counselor. They're a third party. They're neutral. So what you say and what your spouse says, they can see if one person is like trying to coax the conversation, or sorry, Layla, or is trying to, you know what I'm saying. So it's super important that to ask help when you need help. Okay. So that was in here too. That was at the end. And then the last thing that I want to talk about is the ending. Okay. So we all want to build our own unique song. We all want to have a bulletproof relationship marriage, right? So I just want to leave this with you guys. It's the last sentence of a book. And sometimes I absolutely love the last sentence of a book because it kind of sums up what you read, right? Diesel, stop. Okay, so with our spouse, we can create a beautiful song that keeps playing through sunshine or rain and turns our worst times into the best times. So I want you guys to take these principles and to truly have that bulletproof relationship marriage, and to really go through the sunshine, the rain, and turn the worst times into your best times, okay? So if you do not have this book, go invest in yourself and go get this book. It will truly change you. It will truly change your relationship, and you guys will have the best time of your life, okay? So I hope you guys enjoyed this broadcast. If it was helpful, share it with whoever you kind of thought in your mind. Maybe you want to share it with your spouse. Maybe you want to share it with your best friend. Maybe you want to share it with your mom, your father, anybody that you can think about that needs to hear a message like this, okay? So I am so happy that we finished this series. I love doing these book reviews with you guys because it truly helps me. I read this book a couple years ago, but going through it again just gave me that constant reminder that some things that I need to work on myself, some things that Mike and I need to work on. And so I encourage you to work on your guys' relationship and truly live that best life that you truly want. And so tomorrow morning, I'm super excited because we're going to talk about the 5 love languages. I have to go find that book, and I hope Mike doesn't have it with him on the road, because that is going to be our next series. And if not, I'll be purchasing it because it's going to tie in with this book, and I know you guys are going to absolutely love it. Okay, you're going to learn how to give and how you receive love, which is important, right, to have a thriving relationship. So I'll talk to you guys soon, or tomorrow, 9 a.m. Bye.